is one of those cars that's very good, but stupidly expensive. This is the 2025 Honda Civic LX HEV. That's Honda's language for hybrid technology. Now you could say a Ferrari is expensive, but at least it's an exclusive high-end model. It's different to this. This is a run-of-the-mill mainstream hatchback, and you can get equivalent rivals for much less. Prices start from just over $55,000, which is just too much in my opinion for what you're getting. Although it is very good, very well made, excellent hybrid system, actually really good performance, as you'll see in a minute down here. It handles really well. It's got good packaging inside, but it still doesn't mean that you can price it that high. It should be, you know, up at the upper end of its range because of all of its traits, but not that high. 55,000 is just too far in my opinion. Aside from the price, let's have a quick look. This is the LX, as I said, so it's kind of the premium or luxury version. It used to be a little bit sportier than this a couple of years ago. It had more black highlights and so on, whereas now it goes for more of a refined look, like it doesn't have the black alloy wheels or anything like that. I think it looks really good. Honda has improved the design with the latest generation. It's got the full width tail light at the back. It just looks nice and neat, but still distinctive. The pre-facelifted Civic looked a bit edgy and yeah, it looks like it was over-designed, whereas this is nicely neatened and tidied up. Inside, you've got probably one of the best cabins in its class, I reckon, just because of its design and materials and fit and finish and so on. You've got the full grille, full width grille piece that goes all the way across, although, you know, in that middle section there, it's not actually doing anything. It's just a trim piece covering nothing basically, but you do have climate vents, twin climate vents in the middle and then one on the outside as well. No wireless phone charger, which, yeah, doesn't sound right for a $55,000 vehicle in this class, but you do have some driving modes there, dual cup holders, and a nice big center console box. Nicely sporty seats. I do like that they're not leather, although again, you could expect leather for this price range. Not even power adjustment either, and there's no sunroof. I do love this sporty steering wheel though. It does have piano black trimmings, which get grubby and mucky pretty quickly, like even that's got dust and fingerprints all over it already. But it's a really nice size and it just falls perfectly at your chest. You've got a highly customizable seating position as well. You can lower the seat right down if you want to, or lift it up. Yeah, the steering wheel is almost vertical with your chest as well. It's a perfect driving position. And then for the instrument cluster here, fully digital, you can change around the displays on the left and right. Fuel economy averaging 6.6, but I have had it much lower than that with the previous model, 2023 model, I think it was. I've just done the performance testing, so that's probably why it's bumped up a bit. And on this side, you can just use this dial here and it goes through just the audio mainly. It'd be good if you could change that to have, like on this side, you could put fuel economy, and then on the left side, you could put the power distribution on the other side, so you can see both at the same time. And then up here, we've got a comprehensive touchscreen. It's not the best in my opinion, just because of its basic graphics, but I do like the simplicity, the grid layout for all the apps. It does have integrated Google, and you've got a home button there and physical volume control, which is great. You can easily switch the brightness right down if you want to. Some of these modern vehicles, I think they're far too bright at nighttime, whereas this, you can actually tone it right down so it's a bit more subtle when you're cruising at nighttime. Then you've got separated climate controls, air conditioning button there, air recirculation button here. This has got heated seats as well for the front passenger and the driver. And then your fan speed just there. All very simple, very easy to use. And you've got twin USB-C ports, one's for charging and one's for connecting Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Then you've got a 12-volt socket as well. I do like the transmission buttons here. They feel really nice. Just put my foot on the brake. Yeah, it just feels really nice and refined. And you've got your drive mode toggle here as well, which provides individual, sport, normal, and eco. And then in the back, you can't wind down the rear windscreen all the way. Some vehicles you can, this one you can't. You've got heaps of leg room and headroom. I think this is one of the most spacious in its class. It's kind of like the Kia Cerato hatchback, how it's, you know, a little bit elongated in terms of the wheelbase. And you've got a flip down armrest as well. You've also got twin USB-C charging ports and separated climate vents. You do sit quite low in the back here, but Yeah, I've got plenty of headroom and legroom is not an issue at all for my seating layout. Most of the trim feels pretty good. I mean, it is plastic, but it's not super scratchy plastic. It's kind of got that slightly refined feel to it. And you've got some leatherette trim across the where your armrest is, and then some fabric insert as well. And a random piece of plastic just to break up the design, I guess. But they could, I don't know, put something a bit more. Well, in the front there, you've got a piano black plastic trim. So yeah, it'd be nice if that was extended over to the back. Again, for this price range, it should have everything. There should be nothing missing from this, in my opinion. And around the back here, the hybrid version does have a little bit less boot space compared with the non-hybrid model. This is 409 litres compared with 449 litres of the non-hybrid. But yeah, that's still plenty of space. The figures don't actually look that good on paper. I mean, they're good, but they don't seem as impressive as it actually is. You've got a twin stage floor, although it's not very deep. Again, because this is the hybrid model, and you've got this rather clever pull-out security blind. So you don't have to worry about storing that somewhere or, you know, losing it, leaving it at home. It's just packed neatly into the side there. And then under the bonnet here, we've got a 2-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine paired with an electric motor, energized from a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery. I do like that it's kind of an old school engine, or not old school, but it's got that, you know, old school Honda characteristics, very high compression ratio, twin cam obviously, and it also sounds pretty good. It does have artificial sound coming into the cabin when you're in sport mode, but in terms of fake sounds, which I'm not really a fan of, I think this actually does sound quite nice. It's got that throaty, roary sound, very traditional of Honda. Although that might not seem like much power, it actually goes really well. It's one of the quickest kind of mainstream little hatchbacks I've ever tested, really. I'll show you that sport mode and the sound. I'll just slow down a bit. Full throttle. Yeah, it's got these artificial stepped gears for the CVT gearbox when you're in sport mode, which does add some level of interaction or engagement or even excitement, I guess. If it was just one, you know, monotone sound, it wouldn't be as exciting. In terms of the ride and handling, yeah, this is definitely one of the best handling vehicles in its specific class. Again, in terms of a mainstream non-performance model, it just holds on really well. The front end remains completely flat, and it's got excellent capability. Like you can go around a corner and hit a mid-corner bump and the outfit just remains very solid and secure all the time. There's no you know, sudden surprises or anything like that. It does have a comprehensive multi-link suspension setup at the back, which helps with overall dynamics as well. The steering's got a lot of communication as well. I can feel exactly what those tyres are doing. Yeah, and speaking of which, you've got 235 tyres front and back. They're Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres, which are, you know, very good tyres, again, for a mainstream non-performance hatchback. I guess they do justify, or go some length to justifying that price. Not completely, but a little bit. The ride comfort is excellent in my opinion. I think it strikes a nice balance between, yeah, comfort and support and stability. You know, there probably are more comfortable or luxurious hatchbacks in this class if you want absolute softness, but I think this is perfect, especially if you're spending some time driving on pretty poor country roads like this, because you want that stability, you want that security, you want it to be able to catch bumps and not get all floppy and weird. Whereas this just, yeah, remains very confident all the time. Being a Honda Civic, it's very practical and easy to drive. Pedal placement is very good. As I said, steering position and driving position is also very good. And you've got excellent visibility out the front. I like that you do have quite thin A-pillars. You can see there it's got a Bose sound system, which I guess justifies the price a little bit. But yeah, thin pillar, nicely placed mirror so you can see the gap in between the pillar and the mirror. And yeah, I've got a general sense of what's going on in that common blind spot. Out the back, the rear tail, or the tailgate is sloped a little bit, so you do have, you know, a slightly confined view in terms of the windscreen height. But yeah, overall, I think this is very practical and easy to drive, easy to park. Down through here, we've got a bit of a dip. Suspension, yeah, perfect. No bottoming out, no crashing or banging, and no loss in stability or even confidence behind the wheel. Yeah, so overall, as I said, this is an excellent package let down by the price tag. I think, you know, if you're considering buying a small premium car like a little Mercedes-Benz or an Audi or something like that, but you're worried about buying the entry-level model, or you can only afford the entry-level model, this could be a good alternative because you're getting almost premium levels of detail and quality, certainly in terms of the driving dynamics, but you're just missing out on some of the features, as I said. But then again, some of those lower spec premium models are probably going to be missing out on features as well. I don't know, tell me what you think in the comments below. I think this should be priced from around 45 or 47,000 even. 55 just seems too much for what you're getting, even though it is an excellent package. Alright, let's head out now to the performance test and see what it goes like.